So today I'll be demonstrating the way that I kind of get around having to sand nub marks. I'm not saying that this is going to work for everybody. I'm not saying it's the most beautiful thing out there, that it's the best way to do it. It's just the way that I do it. And I found that it's a little bit more time efficient, right? So the first thing we're going to do is, you can see here there's slightly any nub mark, but I can still go back over it, give a little scrape, right? You can do that for basically any area that there is. You can get really nice and close. Now, is this what these nippers meant to do? Probably not, but you can do it. And it's worked pretty well. I haven't had to replace many nippers because of that. Sometimes I like to cut a little over that as well. Just a little bit too much, but with some primer and the self-leveling properties in some certain primers, should be good to go. So, I mean, as you can see, some nub mark right there. Just cutting it real close as I can. You can even use your nail on some of these. Now, I'm not saying you have to do it this way. I'm not saying this is the best way. This is just the way that I did it. I find that this saves me a good amount of time and lets me get back to doing everything else just slightly faster. And when you're gonna paint a whole kit, as you get really close, you shouldn't have too many issues, right? Because again, you're gonna hopefully prime the kit, and then you're gonna paint it. So any possible leftover little imperfections should be pretty well covered up. This is one of the first kits that I ever built when I first started this journey. And now another thing that I'm gonna do with it is I'm kit bashing, right? So I took the rear half, or the second part of the Barbatorus model kit, because I hated it being a centaur sort of thing. It just didn't sit well with me. I don't know, maybe because it kept falling over. What I did is I'm taking the upper half and some other parts, like this is supposed to be the rear skirt, and I just attached it to the back to kind of give it like more of a shield on the back, right? Here I attached, this is the rear where this piece, the rear skirt, was originally attached to. And what I did is I actually took the rear skirt from the entry-grade Strike, and I am fitting it together. Put some putty there. I'm clamping it down. This will get sanded, so that way I can clear off some of this junk. Actually, you know what? I might be able to just take that off with a pair of tweezers. Nice little sanding at the end. Just always make sure you clean off your tools. Right, you don't want to leave that putty. I mean, yeah, sure, it'll dry off or whatever, but still. Oh, here's the front half of that side skirt. My issue with this is I don't like having that right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a little bit of this Simply Tacky. You could use putty, of course, right? You can always use putty, but I don't feel like dealing with the fumes at the moment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a little bit of that tacky putty, right? Kind of fill it into the hole. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my tweezers again. This also makes for a better, easier cleanup. I'm just gonna press that in, just like that. Clear off the sides. Press it in some more. Clear off the side again. Oh. Just like that. And hopefully, after I paint it, it'll barely even be noticeable. What I did have to do to get these Zaku, because this is from a Zaku, right? It's a Zaku 2. What I did have to do is the poly caps, I drilled through them with a 2-inch drill bit, 2mm drill bit, right? So that way it could fit like this. Now it does leave the legs spread out a little bit more. So you'll have this part of the peg visible, right? So to get slightly around that, what I have gone ahead and done is I actually took, now I can show you guys. I actually took this rear piece off of the leg from the Barbataurus, right? Cut away the inside and I sanded it. And after I paint them, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach it kind of like this, just with some cement, some plastic cement. So that'll actually help cover up the pieces or the piece of the leg joint that'll be exposed. And then it'll kind of give it a nice little front armor sort of look, at least in my mind. I don't know, I'll see how it works out, but I'll get there at some point. But yeah, this is just how I get around having to sand it. Is it right? Maybe, maybe not. It depends. Some people will absolutely hate this. Other people will be like, wow, you know what? That's so cool. That's a quick way for me to get back to building my model kits. And as some of us know, as part of the labor force, having families, time is a valuable commodity. We want to be able to have our hobbies. At the same time, we have other responsibilities to our families, to ourselves, to our employers that don't necessarily give us as much free time as others. So you have to get creative in the way that you can get around some of those things. And this is just the way I found I could get around a little bit of that and have a little bit more free time to myself for my hobby, aside from my other duties. And of course, I'm doing a combination of snipping and scraping, right? Kind of run your finger over it after you snip to see if there's any little bit of nub mark left. And you can also use your nails when there's just slightly little bit of nub mark left, and you can actually get a pretty good amount of it off too. It also helps get some of that white off from stressing the plastic. Leave that. Oh, I did have another issue with the foot here. It broke on me. So the way I'm going to fix that is put some putty right there on the poly cap to keep it in place. And I actually well, I guess right now I lost it. It's somewhere here, but I got a little piece of brass rod, right? Some of these little display brass rods. I'm pretty sure it was a 2mm. And I just snipped the piece off and I put it into the foot. Put it into the foot poly cap, and it'll be attached onto it. And you guys will see what I mean once when I find that piece. But I just had a moment. I remember what I did. So the brass rod is actually already in there. It's already connected. It's already adhering, joining both of those pieces, right? So I was looking at this one. What happened is this peg broke off, right? So that peg is what holds this poly cap in place, and that holds this part of the foot in. So what happened is that this poly cap broke. So what I did is I used a precision drill with the 2mm drill bit, and I drilled right into that. I drilled into the poly cap to make the hole just slightly bigger. That way the brass rod would fit in there, and now it's attached to there. So then after this finishes curing and drying, all I need to do is just attach it back like that after I paint everything, of course. That's how I got that fixed. So this is the original hand from the Barbatorres, and I actually didn't have a plate for the rear, or for the back of the hand, right? So what I did is I just grabbed them off of the entry grade strike. So after I paint it, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue back there, just to make sure that it stays in place. Now, with this build, I think I'm kind of gonna make it like a sort of a melee, more like a melee focused close quarter combat sort of thing. So it's not gonna have weapons at all. It's gonna be more like, oh, I'm a heavily armored boxer. I guess kind of like G Gundam, but a little bit different. So stick around for that.